Hi everyone, it's Agatha from Simply Grow, and it's a quick video from a series around behavior, emotional intelligence, and today we're going to focus on saying no. So getting straight to the point, first of all, there may be different reasons for you watching that video. So maybe you found yourself saying no for the first time, or maybe you find that you say no quite a lot and it simply doesn't work, or maybe you feel uncomfortable saying no for different reasons. So hopefully this video is going to give you some tips and some advice, and if you've got any additional questions, please get in touch. So the first time you say no, it's usually when your little one becomes mobile. So that's usually the first time, and it's mainly because there is the first situations where they potentially can hurt themselves or others. They can put their health and safety at risk. So that's when we jump in with no or stop. And there are a few things to make that no or stop really work. First of all, please keep the no's and the stops only for the situations when it's absolutely necessary, when there's actual health, safety, life at risk. If you jump into saying no for the tiniest thing, because your little one is about to make a mess, for instance, you are going to you will end up being the person who always says no, and that no is going to completely lose its power. And so it's your choice, but I would really recommend saying no only when it's absolutely necessary. And children equal mess, and bigger children the bigger the mess, trust me. And if it is about those kitchen towels or utensils ending up on the floor and then you having to clean them, it's tough, but I would really try to avoid saying no for that. It's a little bit like with the boy who cried wolf. So the more you say it, when you actually will have to say it, when you actually will have to make your child stop because this is dangerous, they're not going to listen. So as simple as that. This is for their safety. Try not to say no when you don't have to. If you need to stop your little one when they're emptying the tea towel drawer, use the beautiful art of distraction. Okay, so there's a little video posted on Instagram about blowing the bubbles. Quickly grab a glass, start blowing some bubbles, boop, and then going to get distracted, but try not to say no or stop. But if there is a situation when there is potentially a risk for health, safety, life, and the dreaded coffee table they will start climbing, or the TV stand, or the step, there is a little simple thing I did with Amy and it really worked, so definitely worth trying. And the thing to bear in mind is that children at that age, when they just become mobile, they don't operate with abstracts. So if they start telling them about something being dangerous or the fact they're going to hurt themselves, they're probably not going to understand that. And they will think that you're playing the game with them. So as soon as they start climbing the table, you're on them. So they are getting your undivided attention, which is exactly what every child wants and needs. And they don't understand that it's a negative attention, it's attention. So they will do it over and over again, because then mommy and daddy stop everything else they were doing and they come to me. So I'm going to do it over and over. So it's important to send a very clear message. So very, very simple scenario. You come close, make sure your face is on their faces level and your eyes are on the same level, so you've got that channel of communication open there, and you slam your hand on the floor, bang, and you go wah, and that's all you have to do. So whether it's the floor or your knee or one hand on the other, but you're trying to make a little bit of noise to show that this is what can happen. Try to keep your face really serious, because this is not a laughing matter, and then simulate the crying. Okay, so you can be as dramatic as you want, whatever feels right with your personality as well, but the actual action of the sound of it, the bang, wah, is going to be very visual for your child. They will understand that something bad, something noisy is going to happen, something potentially scary, and there will be tears. Most children will understand that. And the first time you do it, you may not get the reaction you want, but you have to do it over and over and over again if that situation occurs. And a good tip is whenever you read books together or whenever you watch TV together, and whenever you see someone cry in a book or a cartoon, whatever you watch, you point it out, you highlight it. So look, the boy is crying, and do exactly the same action that you will do in that situation with your child. Wow, they're crying. So they understand that this is what crying is. And crying usually means that you are sad, okay? And the same situation with falling or bumps or anything that will help to illustrate that. There's someone falling in the book or in the curtain. Oh look, they fell and now they're crying, okay? You can even model it yourself. Ask your partner or someone in the house to do it. So they're going to fall, be quite dramatic, you know, get into the role, and now start crying. You can say, look, they were not paying attention. They did what they were not supposed to do. They fell and they were crying. The more you do it, the more obvious it's going to become. It's going to be second nature. You just have to do that next time and they will know. Okay? If that's uncomfortable for you, try to think of a different way of making it as visual, as concrete as possible. A good tip to remember is that imagine that your child is someone who does not speak your language. As simple as that. Imagine a situation that you are with someone who is in real danger and you have to save their life, but you don't speak their language. What kind of things would you do to make them get out of that situation? So try to think about it that way a little bit. And with all the children, the art of distraction, especially with things that make mess, is invaluable. Use it. And when it comes to the dangerous situations, always use the because. Give them the reason why you don't want them to do it, and they will understand. If you were doing that from the young age, carry on doing that. They will understand. Or you can at some point replace it with words. You're going to fall, hurt yourself, you're going to cry, you are going to be sad. Okay? I wouldn't scare children with hospital doctors, because then again, when the real need arises for them to go there, they're going to have that fear of it. So try not to go into doctors and hospitals. They'll probably all have at some point, but try not to overuse it. But definitely use reason. There was a research done with adults, but to be fair with you, at the end of the day, we are at different developmental stages with children, but we're all human, so different things will work very similarly for us. So there was a research around people getting what they want, depending on what kind of phrase they used. So as far as I remember, the research was done around the photocopy machine. So imagine a situation, there are 3 people in the queue to the photocopy machine, and you want to jump the queue. So depending on what phrase you use, the more likely you are to get at the front of that queue. And researchers found that if people who used because and gave the reason, even if it was the most ridiculous reason on the planet, got their way and got in the middle of the queue with everyone being absolutely understanding and fine about it. So it's going to be the same with the little ones. Try to explain things to them. So I don't want you to do that because, okay? And give them the reason. What you also do when you're engaging in a conversation. So the more you are starting to talk and maybe change the topic a little bit, the less likely they are to remember what they were actually doing. And this is what you want. You want them out of the situation. So there is one more thing that you can do, but again, it's just like with saying no. I wouldn't like you to overuse it. It is very effective, but only use it for absolute situations where it's absolutely necessary. So all the children want to behave well, and all the children want you to be happy. Well, your children, not all the children, not some random children, but your child will always want you to be happy as the primary caregiver. They don't want to see you angry or upset, and they all want to get it right. There are no bad children, remember that. So in situations where, and it happened to me when we went to the park and all of a sudden Amy runs off, and potentially very, very dangerous situation. This is where I would reach for that tool, but be careful, because we don't want to emotionally blackmail our children. So what I would do, I would say that you have to stop because it is making me sad, okay? And that's all that I had to do, and it really worked. My child didn't want to see me sad, so you have to stop. You're making mommy sad. Okay, that's the sign for mommy, like this with 3 fingers, mommy, and this is sad. So I'm just putting my hand like this and scrolling this down my nose, okay, in the middle of my face. I'm sad, and 9 out of 10 times Amy would come back. But again, as I said, you don't want to emotionally blackmail your children. It's an awful thing. At the end of the day, our existence is not based on someone's happiness or sadness. But in that short period, developmental period, especially when children start to run off, this is a good one to use. But you have to remember, there's a flip side to that coin. If you use the sign for sad, and if you're telling your child that the actions can potentially cause sadness, you have to make sure that every single day when they do something that is positive, you use the sign for happy. So whenever they pick something up, or whatever they do something positive, and whenever they give you a hug, or whatever they listen to you, you ask them to do something and they do it. They put their clothes in the laundry basket, whatever it is, those small chores that little ones can do. This is making me so happy, and it's making you happy too. So always stress that this is something that causes happiness to you, but also to them. So very quickly, sign for sad. Always say the word as well and show it with your face, sad, and the word for happy. I wouldn't go for angry, I would go for sad, okay, and happy. And so again, just please use it very scarcely if possible. Again, every child is different, every parent is different, every type of relationship between those two is going to be different. So some of those things I told you may not sit right with you, not sit well with you, and some of them you might feel uncomfortable doing. So try to find a way around it, adapt it, change it, personalize it to make sure that it's right for you and your child. If you've got any questions at all, please send me a message. I hope you found it useful. And the next chat that we will be doing will be around emotions. So those situations where we have got tantrums, okay? So there is a tantrum and I tried to calm my child down, but it's not working. So what can you do? What could you try? And that's going to be the next one. And next week, fingers crossed, if everything goes well. But I hope you found it useful. When it comes to signing, if you're not sure about the signs, you can make your own. But make sure you're consistent with them. I'll be posting videos around signing as well, so please stay tuned. If you can think of anyone who would find that video useful, please share it with them. You can share it on your in your stories on Instagram. You can share it on your grid for all your friends to see it. You never know who might just need a little bit of advice, a bit of support rather than advice with saying no. So I hope you found it useful. I definitely don't think I've got all the answers, but I do have some experience, so hopefully it's going to help. And thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you again soon. Bye.